Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Love It or Shove It. This is the talk show where we talk about relationships, where we might touch uncomfortable topics. And that's just for all of us to understand that relationship requires us to constantly adapt, to constantly create something, and constantly be present. And if this is the first time you are tuning in, welcome. My name is Irina Portnova, and I'm a manifestation coach. I actually show you how to manifest the best relationship that you can actually have in your life. And I'm doing it through the energy work and through a lot of great things that we are diving deep and just explore and allow ourselves to receive. And I'm here with my co host, Bruno Gill. Bruno.
Yeah, so my name is Bruno. I'm a self-love coach. I work primarily with women to become more confident, have more self-esteem, have more self-love, be more expressive. But yeah, mainly the confidence. That's the most important thing. Yeah. So that's what I do, 100%.
Mhm. And today the topic is the relationship contract now nobody signed. And I love this topic because obviously nobody is teaching us how to guide the relationships, right? And people just meet, people just think whatever they are doing is good, but there is a lot of assumptions. And now we are talking about the relationship agreement because sometimes we can feel upset or disappointed or frustrated with our partner only to discover that they had absolutely no idea they were breaking a rule. And that's because a lot of times we in the relationships, we are not really knowing what exactly is the agreement, right? What is something, because for one partner it can be obvious, it can be okay. For the other partner, it has to have a completely different meaning. So again, it's rather than assume something, it's great to really talk through that, because every healthy relationship has the clear agreements. And it doesn't have to do anything with the love. It actually has something to do with understanding what is something that another person is willing to contribute to the relationship, and to see if both people are standing on the same page. So, why clear agreements reduce conflict and strengthen the trust? Because one of the biggest reasons couple argue is because they are operating from different rule books. Imagine that, rule books in love. So, for instance, one partner believes texting throughout the day is a sign of care and connection, when the other partner might be focused on work and reconnecting later. And for them, it's completely normal. So when we look at this picture, neither of the partner of the people is wrong. The problem is that neither person actually discussed it, right? What's important to their partner. And without the agreement, each partner assumes their way is the right way. And with an agreement, both people understand each other expectations and can intentionally create that solution that works for both. So trust grows when people know what is expected, what has been agreed upon, and what they can count on. So, because when a couple are in that uncertainty can cause anxiety. And when there is a clarity, that clarity creates the confidence. Bruno.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. Um, Again, obviously, um, there are certain guidelines, right? A lot of times those guidelines in relationships come in the form of boundaries. They come in the form of non-negotiables, like, certain actions that need to happen, certain things that, need to be said, need to be done, need to be reviewed, right? And a lot of times that comes from communication, that comes from, You're telling your partner, look, I don't like what you did. In the beginning, I told you that this for me is a non-negotiable. I'm not saying you did it on purpose. I'm just saying that I'm just trying to refresh your memory because, you know, I would appreciate if maybe next time this would be dealt in a different way. Front, period. That's it. Sometimes people need their memory refreshed about whatever non-negotiables somebody has, that they don't want that to repeat, whether if it's the man or the woman, right? Um, and it's not something that again that you put on paper, but it's emotionally very important, right? It's more important than whatever piece of paper, than whatever ring you have in your finger. To be fair, if those non-negotiables, if they're not respected, that ring on the finger means nothing because eventually it's going to leave. That piece of paper eventually will turn into a divorce piece of paper, um, or just a breakup, right? And so it's very important that obviously those little things are respected, and that yeah, that they're respected, and I wouldn't say that they're monitored, but that people really stick to the things that they agreed, right? I'm not saying it's going to be perfect because nothing is perfect, but as long as that there is a consistency in what is said through your actions, then you'll be more than fine. Um, yeah, I think it's all about the effort that you put in. It's all about the effort, right? So yeah.
And yeah, I wanted to touch upon the point of why relationship agreements need to evolve as people and relationship grow. Because again, we are all growing, we are all evolving, and whatever might work initially on whatever was agreed upon also evolves, right? So it's important to have these check-in times where maybe like revisits. The way I look at it, like every 3 weeks the healthy couple have to sit down and talk about, like, what is something that's important to you, what is something you would love me to do better, right? So each person can actually hold the space and stay open to see what are the needs of their partner. Because again, the healthy couples don't assume all the agreements will continue to work forever. They actually revisit them, and when they sit down together to talk, they start asking these questions: what do you need now? What's important to you today? What's working? What needs to change? And that's exactly how the strong relationships stay together and evolve, because it's not about just having the rigid rules. It's basically working with and adapting to whatever needs are common for our partners. So that's exactly what the healthy communication and healthy adapting style is all about. And again, it's super, super important for us to have the clarity in love, because when we are clear where we are standing, what are our desires, what are our agreements, that creates the freedom, it creates the safety, and it deeper the intimacy. Because a lot of times couple might feel that the agreement is more the restrictions, but in reality healthy agreements create the freedom. Just think about
Mm,
it. When you know where you are standing, when you know what your partner values, what you are building together, what commitment means to both of you stop wasting energy guessing. You stop
mm,
creating stories in your head. You stop analyzing every text message. Clarity actually allows you to relax into the relationship. And emotional safety creates the environment where that intimacy naturally starts growing. Because again, it's not that everything becomes easy once people have the agreement, but it's more clear, and they know exactly what is something to do within these guidelines, right? Because it's difficult to
mm,
feel deeply connected when you are constantly questioning where you stand. Bruno, would you
mm.
like to add something to that?
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess um, it's not just the relationship that evolves. Like for the relationship to evolve, people got to evolve as well. So a lot of times, so the relationship evolves because people evolve, right? And so just because you want to be treated in a certain way in the beginning doesn't mean you want to be treated the same way after a couple of years because you
Mhm.
evolved. So if you evolved, so does your desires evolve. So, so does the things that you don't want, they also evolve, right? Maybe they don't change, but your boundaries become stronger, your standards become stronger, right? You know,
Mhm.
you gotta evolve, right? There has to be some evolution, right? And I think that's a very good way to also make like a relationship magical. Is to help each other evolve and become better. That's the
Mhm.
best thing that you can do, pretty much. Because I've heard a lot of people sometimes say, "Oh, like I'm gonna do everything with my friends and I'm gonna do everything alone or whatever, and then I'm gonna find someone and that's it." Whatever. Almost like it's like the end of their life and they achieved everything they wanted. And I'm like, you are going to be absolutely fucking miserable if you do that. Because there are more things to life than that, you know? Like eventually, yes, your ego is gonna be fulfilled, your ego is going to be happy because you've done all these things and you don't feel like you're missing out within like like society stereotypes of what you should have by a certain age and what you should be doing by a certain age and where you should be going by a certain age. Fine, eventually eventually your ego is going to be happy because you're meeting all those requirements, but internally you're going to be miserable. You're not going to be fulfilled because you'll always feel like something is missing, right? And you feel like something is missing because you've done all these things that you worked all your life for, but you're still alive and you got to wake up with something to aim for, but you never thought about it. And then you're in a relationship, right? And then if you start like really spiraling out of control because of it, with the months, with the years, it's going to get turned on your partner. And if it gets turned on your partner and you don't open up about it, it's going to lead to the shit. So it's very important that you're always communicating, and that you feel comfortable about it as well, and that you're always aiming towards something individually or together, right? But there should then again be a balance. And honestly, it's not as complex as it seems, to be fair. It really isn't,
Mhm.
right? Um, and that's the thing, it's like I feel like as a couple, you should always be aiming for something, right? Um, because again, it's like you should be I wouldn't say like not every single day is going to be magical. I'm not saying every single day is going to be filled with rainbows. Like it's not. This is not a Disney movie. There's no such a thing as a happily ever after. You know what it is there's consistency, right? There's effort that you put, and I think at the end of the day, it's much more about how not how you see it, but much more how you live it. You know. Um, yeah, and there's no need to like rely on hope. Oh, I hope it goes well, or I hope that now is for real. You know, hope is like when you hope for something, you're hoping for something because you don't even believe that it can happen in the first place. That's why you hope for it, right? But when you understand that both of you in a relationship have the power and the control to make it happen, right? And then that's fantastic, right? So I think ultimately in the end, it's much more about how much accountability you take and how much like you make it work than really about how you hope for it or how you see it. It's much more about how you live it and how willing you are and like how committed you are to make it work. So yeah.
Yeah. Giovanni, welcome. It's always great to have you. Yeah, just wanted to know, your side. What do you think about it? So let's continue talking about. And as far as a happily ever after, I do believe in that. So again, if somebody is like me
Sure.
and believe in magic, you can totally allow yourself to do that. Everybody is different. So let's continue
Of
and
course.
saying why unspoken expectations often create disappointments and resentment. Because resentment is often the disappointment that never had a conversation. For instance, when one partner expects birthdays to be celebrated in a big way, that would be me, because I'm Leo. I love everything grand gestures, great presents, great, like adoration, because that's how I'm wired. And let's say if the other person grew up in a family where birthdays were simply simple and low key, neither expectation is wrong. But when those expectations remain unspoken, disappointment follows. And the problem isn't
Mm.
always what happened. The problem is that one person expects something the other person didn't know was important. So that's why we are talking about agreements. That's why we are talking about like really fine tuning to what important is for the partner. And many couples spend years frustrated by expectations that were never clearly expressed. And what might feel obvious for you might not be completely visible to your partner, right? So we become more and more clear because, again, the more we can openly speak and express ourselves, the more we know what to work for and how to make the relationship better. So, why healthy relationships are built through conversation, not assumption. Assumption create the stories, right? And we all know we all create our own stories. But when we are in conversation, that's where the understanding happens. Assumptions could sound like, if they loved me, they'd know, they should just understand, I shouldn't have to ask. But healthy relationships sound like, here is what's important to me. Can we talk about what support looks like? What does commitment mean to you? So again, the strong couple are not strong because everything is great, but because they are willing to have the difficult conversations. They also are willing to listen to each other and do something about it, right? Because every meaningful relationship is constantly being shaped by communication, not by guessing, not by hoping, not by assuming, but by two people willing to sit down and create a shared understanding. Bruno, I want to say something.
Um, yeah. Uh, let me think. Um, yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, yeah, I mean, I think that's really about it. To be fair, um, because I think I could just like go back, speak about the same things over and over and over again. But again, you have to. I think like especially for men, um, you you gotta be able like to take the lead on that, you know, because sometimes women they're not gonna be the ones like initiating it. They're not gonna be the ones initiating the conversation. Sometimes they'll be the ones, who are expecting the men to like go up to them and say it because they're men. Um, and I think that depicts very well like how important it is to have a masculine man who takes action on those things, but also a man like who is free and feels safe enough to like just express it, like saying sorry and stuff like that. Because it's like if you're in a relationship and you don't apologize for what you do, and you're a man about it, and you're a man and you don't apologize in a relationship and stuff like that, then there's really no point you cannot expect the person that you're with to apologize as well, unless you're a narcissist, right? Um, and you're a massive manipulator, which is actually really bad. Um, but I think like in relationships, it's not just important for people to in relationships it's not just important for people to like speak with each other about how it happened and what happened and the things they should have said and what they shouldn't have said. People within that relationship, they have to think about it. They have to be like, look, okay, maybe I could have said this differently, I could have done that differently. You know, you shouldn't have to like all the time you shouldn't have to all the time like be having to have a conversation with your partner about it, because not only there's better things to talk about as well, there's happier things to talk about, there's more fulfilled things to talk about. You know, if you have the ability to do like a self introspection within yourself, which is self, right? A self introspection, then absolutely do it, right? But I think a lot of times, especially when people like, for people that have a bit of a hard time doing that, sometimes speaking with your partner and helping them understand that, right? Sometimes helping them actually understand that, you know, with clear communication helps, right? Like just trying to help them understand. And I could say like, well, I wouldn't me no, because I'm not saying that now, but people could be like, yeah, but I mean, we're adults and we're not kids anymore. I mean, what is there not to understand about how they made me feel? You know, well, it doesn't work like that. You know, it doesn't work like that, right? Because in a perfect world, people wouldn't bring their problems into their household, and they would take it out on people that they take for granted enough to believe they'll never leave. That's why they can do whatever the fuck they want, right? Which is also not true, right? People can leave at any time. It's up to them, right? Um, in a perfect world, that wouldn't happen, but we don't live in a perfect world. And in a perfect world, everybody would be super strong, and everybody would always be aware, and people would know how to perfectly solve their problems, and people would know how to perfectly do whatever, right? But we don't live in a perfect world, right? And people make mistakes. That's what it is, right? But I think like a lot of times, a lot of times it's one of those things where helping your partner understand what they did and how they can help them, I think it's fantastic. I think that shows like a lot of emotional maturity and a lot of maturity, a lot. So yeah, it's actually fantastic to be fair. Yeah, yeah, I think it's good. But I think every single person in a relationship, in this case, two people, right, they should have, they should, you know, both of them should have that emotional maturity to within themselves understand. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe this, maybe that. You know, and sometimes people are like, I know I shouldn't have said that, but you know, it's like it just annoys me, and I'm like, okay, I don't, it annoys you. You know, you shouldn't have done it, but it annoys you. Okay, fine. You keep doing the same shit. That means you don't give a fuck, and that's fine. But don't be fucking saying, you know, because a lot of people sometimes are like, oh, don't like. Well, it annoys me so much. I just get so overwhelmed. I just, I just can't take it. I'm like, you can take it, but you don't give that much of a shit. Because if you truly were committed to change that, right, then you would change it. But those people are in victim mentality. And when you're in victim mentality, no matter how much you want to change, right, you always think that people should change more for you, right? Because you think like you do all the hard work and nobody works as hard as you and you're completely alone and nobody understands me and I always try to understand other people. So if people don't say this and people don't say that, then I'm not gonna fucking say it as well, right? But the fact is taking accountability for it is you putting your words out there which you're not doing and you don't know how to do it. So a lot of people use excuses such as the ones that I just mentioned, right? To feel above it, to feel above the situation. But the fact is, they're not above or middle. They're as fucking low as possible because it's just ego, and ego ruins relationships. Ego in relationships does not work, right? And that's the thing. That's where people have to come into like consideration for each other. They have to help each other understand what both did wrong, and that helps very well. But then again, if you have a capability for self introspection in this case, I think that you get to a point where you don't even have to have those conversations as much as possible because you can within yourself understand that. And if you truly are committed, then you know you'll yeah, you'll find a way to fix it. You'll find a way to fix it, especially because before marriage, people find all kinds of ways to make it work. After marriage, when it doesn't even matter anymore because now we're married, you know, it just happens, right? Before marriage, people find all kinds of fucking ways to make it work and all this and all that because we're not married yet and we want to make it work and stuff and all this shit, right? And then after people are married, they're like, oh, fine, I'm married now, whatever. Doesn't really matter, whatever, right? It's like I would never be more afraid of losing a job than losing my wife. Like, there's no fucking way. Like, if I marry a woman, I marry her for a fucking reason. I'm not married to my fucking job. I'm married to my fucking wife, right? Simple. Like jobs, there's plenty. There's plenty of jobs out there, but plenty of good women, no. That's just not true, right? So I think, and that's the same thing. Same thing here. There's plenty of jobs out there, not plenty of men. So it goes both ways as well, right? Um, so I think in the end, it's important to revisit, rewire, reset, recenter, right? Your goals, your aspirations, where you want the relationship to go, the planning, um, everything, right? I think it's super important. Again, we're evolving in relationships because we evolve as people, so the relationship evolves as well. If one person is evolving, the other one is not, my advice is get the fuck out because the other person is going to make you feel guilty for how much you're evolving. If the person is evolving with you, fucking great, enjoy it, right? If nobody is evolving and the magic is gone, my advice would be to try and do things to rekindle that magic. Things you could do to rekindle that magic could be such as doing the things that awaken that magic inside of both of you in the beginning of the relationship, because the nervous system stores every single emotion from past and present, right? So if you go back to doing the things you were doing in the beginning that you loved so much but you stopped, I don't really understand why, things would go wrong. And then again, if you are committed, then you'll make it fucking work. It's as simple as that. Simple. The moment you are not as committed, that's no problem. Stop fucking wasting other people's times and just fucking say, look, I'm not as committed as I was before because of A, B, and C. Um, yeah, and that's it. Simple as that. But again, if you are committed, you'll make it work. That's no problem. Um, and yeah, that's it, pretty much. So yeah, I think for me that's it. But again, always recentering and always going back to, you know, to always coming back to like a middle point, I guess, where you both are together and you're reassessing and okay, this happened, that happened. Okay, what can we do better and stuff like that. That's a good thing. But then again, you don't even have to do that every 3 weeks. You can do that every 6 months. You can do that every year, right? You can talk about it sometimes. You don't have to talk about it every 3 weeks, right? It's not a
Depends what
fucking
kind
business
of
plan.
relationship you have. For me, it's 3 weeks. For you, maybe a year. So to each its own.
Yeah, but yeah, again, yeah, each to
Absolutely.
its
It
own, right?
just
Of
there
course.
is no right or wrong answer on that. It's more like whatever
Mhm.
people have the agreement with, right? Every couple is
Yeah,
different.
and of course, of course.
Hmm.
Yeah, 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 of
So,
course. Yeah, of course, every couple is
so
different, of course.
can I just close?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
of
wanted
course. Yeah.
to I just wanted to say closing thought that every relationship has agreements. And the question is, are they conscious or unconscious? Because the healthiest relationships aren't built on expectations hidden in the fine print. They are built on actually often conversations, clear conversation, mutual understanding, and agreements that allow both people to feel seen, to feel valued, and to feel secure. Love isn't about finding someone who automatically knows what you need, but it's about creating the relationship where both people are willing to talk about it. So that's where I wanted to close today's conversation. Very good talk. And for anybody, if you enjoy this conversation, please share it with somebody who might benefit from that. Because again, these conversations are happening because there is something in the energy. And for people who are tuning in, this is something that they meant to hear. There are no coincidences in life. And not to say that we know everything, but we are learning as well, just talking through these things, right? And we are here to grow with the audience as well. So if you find it useful, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as share it with anybody who might benefit from this episode. And I want to ask everyone who is going to be watching, what is your relationship agreement? And do you have them? And if you don't, my invitation is have them. So this way you understand clearly where you are with your partner, because we all can have better relationships. And the more we understand how everything works, the better we become in loving each other and being there for each other. Thank you so much and see you next week. Bye.